everyone, Logan here again. Well, as you can see, I've got the 10-inch Meade still on the CM120, and that's because I'm going to image another target. This time it's a planetary nebula, and it's the Helix Nebula, which I have imaged before with this rig, but with the 1600, and this time I wanted to image it with the 2600. Now, the Helix Nebula is also known as the Eye of Sauron, and what? Oh.
Right, I'm here for the quest.
What do you mean you're here?
Well, I'm here for the quest.
There's no quest.
But I heard you say the Eye of Sauron.
Yeah, I said the Eye of Sauron because it's the Helix Nebula that I'm imaging. It's another name for it.
Are we going into battle? You know?
No, we're not going into battle against orcs and towers and stuff like that. It's just an imaging session.
I've got my staff and spells and everything.
No, none of that's going to go on. So, if you don't mind, I'm trying to do the video. Do you mind disappearing?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Literally.
Right. I'm off. Okay.
Thanks. And try not to wreck anything on the way out.
Oh, yes,
that would be good.
Of course. Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll just check he's gone. Okay, he's gone. Get back to the video. Right, as I was saying, I'm doing the Helix Nebula. It's one of the larger planetary nebulae in our sky, and it's one of the closest. It's only 650 light years away. And it's formed by the central star, which is basically pretty much when it was in the death throes, it threw off layers of gas, and it's now just a central white dwarf, which is actually lighting up all the gas around it to give it its nice color and structure. It also has these things called cometary bodies, which kind of make it look like the iris of the eye, hence the nickname. I'm not going to say it again just in case he turns up again. Yeah, it gives it the look of the iris because these cometary bodies sort of look like they're streaming back towards the central star. And although they look small, they're actually huge. Apparently one cometary body is bigger than our solar system. And they've estimated there's about 40,000 of them in the Helix Nebula. I'm not sure how they counted them all, but anyway, that's what they say. So the Helix is situated in Aquarius, and I'm going to image it, as I said, with the 2600. I haven't decided whether or not I will combine that data with the data I did previously a year or two ago with the 1600 or not. I'll see how much time I get on it, and yeah, hopefully I get a reasonable image. It should sort of relatively fill the field of view, which will be nice, so you can really get a good look at the central part, a bit more of the Helix Nebula. So hopefully you get some clear skies and can do some imaging. Okay, so I thought I'd just pop into Pixinsight first before we get to Astro-Pixel Processor, just to show you what I was collecting. I'm just going to use the HA as an example. So here was the HA I captured. So currently with the 10-inch Meade with a 0.63 focal reducer and the ASI 2600 MM Pro, and the framing was pretty good. I was, picking up the Helix Nebula with areas of surrounding nebulosity. This is a 10-minute exposure, so it's not a stack, just to show you what I was collecting. And you can see some evidence of the cometary bodies, which will become more evident when I stack them. But so that's what I got, and I stacked all those up and had a look at it and thought, okay, that's okay. And then I thought, I wondered what it'd be like if I combined it with the data that I got back in 2020. Now this was with the 10-inch Meade again, with the ASI 1600 this time. So this is sort of a focal length of 2,500 millimeters. And this doesn't have a lot of area to pick up the surrounding nebulosity here. This is pretty zoomed in. But you can see the cometary bodies here. And again, this is just a 10-minute exposure. So I stacked that with this just to see what it would do. Was the data not going to be as good here, and would it make the stack worse if I added in? I wasn't really sure, so I tried that. And then I thought, what about including the data they took back in 2021, just last year, but with the Skywatcher Esprit 120. Now this has a focal length of 894, I'll correct it on the screen, I've just forgotten for the moment, millimeters. And this was using the ASI 2600 also. So that's the 2600, that's with the 2600, and that's with the 1600. And here, obviously, this is this was a 15-minute exposure actually. And it's a bit further away. We do have cometary body detail here as well. And when I stacked all these together, there was more surrounding nebulosity there. So I thought, what if I stacked them all together? Would that work with these vastly different focal lengths? And so I gave it a go in Astro-Pixel Processor. So if I bring up APP, where are we here? And I've got them all stacked in here. So you just go to under load, I just went to the lights. I'd already calibrated these for the previous processes and previous stacks to see how things were going. So it was just a matter of loading in all the calibrated files, which you can see here. There's quite a few of them if we run down here. And this, with the HA and the O3 together, came to about 42 hours of integration time. And it was like, what settings do I need for making this all blend together without it being a big mess? So under the first tab, I just loaded them in. The second one, calibrate, there was really nothing to change here, just the defaults. Under the analyze stars, again, I didn't change anything, just the defaults. Now under register, you could choose, you set your reference. I didn't, I just let it go to see what it would do. What do I change? Anything else down here? I don't think there was anything else down here to change, actually. I think I just used the defaults again. So we go to the normalize script here, the normalized. Now it says under this mode, if you hold on here, it says if all the light frames are of the same image scale, which these are clearly not, and have nearly identical field of view, choose regular, otherwise choose advanced. So that's what I did. I chose advanced and left the rest of the settings as they were. Under the integrate tab, did the usual. I just chose the average here for the rejection, basically Windsorized rejection. Now I initially tried this, which is the degree of LNC, which I often will do in an ordinary stack. It says if you're doing frames on different nights, etc., it can improve the data a little bit. If you change this, say, to first degree LNC, you can go to secondary LNC. I haven't really seen any improvement over that compared to first. But when I tried stacking all of these images with, quite different fields of view, and I did do the usual first degree LNC, it didn't work very well. I ended up with a very sort of pale area around the actual Helix Nebula. So I gave it a go with no LNC, and that actually worked a lot better. I enabled this, which is your MMP, which is multi-blend blending mode, sorry, and put it at about 10%. And I think that was about all I did on that one, on those settings. And then it was a matter of just going ahead and hitting integrate. Now I've done 2 sessions. So in red you can see the hydrogen alpha. And if we run down to the sort of more teal colored, if you like, that's the oxygen 3, and that's session 2. So it'll stack all the HAs into one stack and all the O3s into the other. And I'll just hit integrate and we'll let that run and see what comes up. So I'm just going to call it Helix. Oops, that's Helio, that's wrong. Helix, I'll just put 3 years. And we'll hit integrate. And it's going to take a while to integrate, so I'm just going to let this run, and we'll speed things up obviously for the video and come back once it's all been stacked. Okay, finished stacking, and as you can see here, it stacked them all together. There is a bit of an outline here, of sort of a paler outline around the O3, but you know, it's not too bad. It's not overly noticeable. It's sort of more of a difference of there's more coarse noise here and more fine noise over here. You know, lots of little bits of detail in that one. And we'll just go to the HA. And this is the HA, and again, you know, this is stacked up quite nicely actually. There is a very faint, I'm not sure if it'll show up on the video, but the very faint outline around here with regards to the stacking of all the frames. But again, you know, it's worked pretty well, and I can see that there is some nice detail here in the commissary bodies. So, you know, despite the fact that they're vastly different focal lengths, it seems to have stacked these pretty well. Right, so look, I'm not going to go through the processing of this further in Pixinsight because I really was more wanting to focus on the settings I used in APP to stack all the three different years, and also because it was the commissary knots that I was sort of trying to highlight in this particular image. And if we have a look here, the cometary knots are these things here, which all look to be sort of radiating back in towards the central star. So this is the star that has formed all of this Helix Nebula. And as it was sort of dying and heading to its white dwarf stage, it threw off these its outer layers, which are now glowing from the ionization of the white dwarf. But what's been described are these cometary knots, which each one of these is said to be about the size of our solar system, so, you know, pretty big. And they were first discovered in the Helix Nebula and then subsequently identified in other nebulae such as the Ring Nebula. So trying to sort of get my head around exactly what these things are, if I can just pull up a definition that I found, and it says here they referred this to the photo-ionized surfaces on the central star-facing sides of the neutral cloud, so these sides here that are facing the star, and there is material that is streaming backwards from the rims of that ionized surface here and are producing these tails. So that's a description of what these things are. I'm not sure if you're any of the wiser, but that's the best description I can see of these things. So I presume that this is material that is now streaming back in towards the central star, whether it be due to gravitational pulls or whatever. I don't really know. It's not really described any further. But, you know, I thought they were quite fascinating, and also I was surprised to see how big they were, about the size of our solar system, each of these little sort of points of light at the end here. So anyway, look, I hope you found that video useful and get an idea of, you know, you can use Astro-Pixel Processor to stack multi-years of images together of, you know, quite significantly different focal lengths, ranging from 864 right up to 2500 millimeters, and with different cameras. And you know, to consider that maybe as you collect data over the years, maybe revisit them and see what you can get through compiling them all together. Look, if you found this video useful, give it the old thumbs up, that would be great. And if you haven't seen other videos or subscribed to my channel, maybe consider subscribing and have a look through some of the other videos that I've done. And otherwise, I shall leave you with my final version of the Helix Nebula, a compilation of 3 years imaging.
Away, evil Sauron!
Hey, stop. What are you doing?
I'm vanquishing the evil Sauron. You know, he's from the land.
I've told you this before. This is not the Eye of Sauron.
Are you sure? You sure it's not the Eye of Sauron?
Yes, I'm 100% sure. Because this is the Helix Nebula, which I told you I was imaging. It's just called the Eye of Sauron.
Are you sure? Because it looks like the Eye of Sauron. I mean,
it's definitely not the actual Eye of Sauron.
Right. Okay.
So, do you mind?
Yes.
I want to finish my video.
Yes. Okay.
Please.
Very, very sorry. I'll go then. Shall I go?
Thank you.
Okay. Away.
I saw that.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. Let's start this again.